Hey guys, it's Wolfstar. I know that's a name that you guys have never heard before, but it's the one that I would like to honor because it's one that my dad gave me when I was a little girl. So, my favorite animal is a wolf, and we always love to look at the stars together. So, that's what I was named. It's a little nickname he used to give me. But anyway, so I wanted to hop on here and let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, because I've had friends ask me, girl, why are you doing a YouTube channel? You have the Facebook with Lunera Botanica, and you got your Instagram, and you're doing your thing, and you're got your herbalism thing going and everything. Well, here's the thing, guys. Ever since I was a little girl, as you guys know, through Lunera, I'm kind of reliving my childhood. And so I used to run every Sunday, because that was the only day we got the newspaper right. Now, I grew up north, and every Sunday when I was like probably about 12, right around in there, right around middle school, it was definitely after elementary school. I used to run for that newspaper, and in the comic section, there was this little section called Astrology. Yeah. And it was the coolest thing to me, right? Because if you know me, I kind of had I don't want to say like a rough childhood, but it was an unconventional one, but more modern now. I came from a split home. Mom and dad were divorced. So astrology was kind of a way to kind of tap into me, right? So it was always cool to kind of look it up. Oh, okay, I'm December. I'm a Sagittarius, right? As I started getting older, I really dug astronomy. I really dug the constellations. I loved looking at the stars still. And then I learned history. And then I learned world history. And I went beyond what I learned just in public school because I just don't believe everything you hear, right? So I went on my own little search. And it led me to actually pull my natal birth chart. And it looks like a wheel. And it's actually kind of really cool. I'm going to pause for just a sec. Okay, guys. So if you have ever seen anything that's kind of like this, right? It's a big old wheel, right? And you'll see that in some places, has writing and has some planets and things like that. It's divided into what we call houses. Well, here's the thing. I really started studying all this, right? And I was like, oh, this is some cool stuff, right? I mean, this is the exact moment I was born, the exact second, the exact minute, the exact everything, right? This is what the sky looked like on the exact moment that I took my first breath, my soul, me, right? And so it's like, okay, so spent a long, long time focusing on all those, remember, little individual houses that had all that writing in it? And then yesterday, it kind of hit me, right? Because we all want to focus on those, right? We want to be like, oh yeah, that's just so important. It's the things that we're doing, and it's just so forefront. It's so in our face, it catches our attention. What about the stuff you don't see? Remember all those empty houses that you saw? So the houses kind of work like this, guys. So you have the circle, right? It's kind of like what a lot of indigenous people like to refer to like a wheel, right? That's your wheel. And outside of your wheelhouse is God, the universe. And then you have the wheel. Well, over the wheel, you have planets. Those are your sun signs. Like I'm a Sagittarius. You might be a Gemini, a Libra, a Leo, a Scorpio, Taurus, Cancer, Capricorn. You get my drift. So those are the ones that are on the outside of that wheel, right? And you have some that they're like the boss, like the CEO for God, right? And then if you have all those little writings and stuff in those little sections, those are like your little planets and, moons or whatever, might show up on that exact moment that you were born, that you took your breath. First breath ever. First cry. First time you saw. First time you heard. And so we all focus on that. But what about those sections that don't have a CEO? How do they work? That's what interested me. So I'm curious. So this is what I understood in my research of it, right? Those houses that don't have that CEO, but God's watching, right? This is how I understand this. This is how my brain kind of correlates it and understands what I read. Since there's no CEO, there's no older sister, older brother kind of watching over you. And then I correlate it to, so like God is kind of like parents, right? Because I got kids, so I correlate a lot of stuff to kids and being a parent nowadays. I'm 46. That's a mind-blown thing to have a 18-year-old that's a senior at 46 and an 11-year-old. It's a trip, it's a journey, but I love it. So I correlate it as those empty houses being my kids, right? So my 11-year-old is fast approaching days where he can do small increments of time, by himself. And, it might be something we just run to the mailbox, and get the mail or something like that. And, so I correlate that like those houses, those empty houses just sitting there. And God is like the parent. And they just, or the universe, and they just check in every once in a while. Like, hey, you doing okay? Hey, did you eat? Hey, I'm walking back to the house. Do you need anything? I saw a cool bird walking down the driveway or something, whatever. But it's just a random every once in a while check-in, right? So those empty houses. This is where my brain goes with it, right? Because I'm just like, are those clean slates? Is this kind of like a mirror? Like I can kind of fast track something? Because I don't have a CEO kind of in my way, So depending on what houses are empty, if it's money, relationships, spiritual, whatever hits, can you look at that a little deeper? And we have a really interesting thing that's going around about April 17th. So that's a hint. So anyway, so this is what this is all about, because that's what I like to do in my hobby. I just like to kind of hang out and look at birth charts. I like to look at my birth chart. I think it's really cool. I mean, it's the day that I was born, the moment I was born. So if this kind of interests you, keep watching, because there's a lot more to come. A lot of cool stuff. A lot of random thoughts, ideas. I don't know. Just never know. So leave me a comment. Like and subscribe.